everyone. Hope everyone is doing well in this lockdown. It's my first channel ever on YouTube, focusing on making the studies easy. As a dental student, I can very well feel the necessity of integrating the subjects together so that they can be memorized easily. So, here is my channel for the same purpose. It will cover many topics, as you can see in the description below. So, starting with the first topic, that is thorax. Before starting the topic, I need to tell you the sequelae in which the topic will go. So, first, firstly, we will cover the anatomy, then the physiology, moving forward towards the pharmacology, the pathology, the treatment, and the surgical aspects. So, let's continue the journey. Thorax is an irregularly shaped cylinder. It has two openings. One is superiorly and other is inferiorly. As you can see in the video, the superior opening is smaller and the inferior opening is larger in size. The thoracic cavity is lined by anteriorly by the manubrium, the sternum and the xiphoid process. Anteriorly and laterally, it is bounded by the costal cartilage and the ribs. Posteriorly, it is lined by the vertebra, and inferiorly, it is lined by the diaphragm. See in the video, the superior opening is smaller and the inferior opening is larger in size. The thoracic cavity is lined by anteriorly by the manubrium, the sternum and the xiphoid process. Anteriorly and laterally, it is bounded by the costal cartilage and the ribs. Posteriorly, it is lined by the vertebra, and inferiorly, it is lined by the diaphragm. Discussing anything further, we should know the functions of the thorax. As we know, there are two pleural cavities and each pleural cavity contains one lung. So, the main function of the thorax is breathing. In support of this breathing, there are many muscles that are located between the ribs and also between the costal margins, which is known as intercostal muscles, and also inferiorly the diaphragm, which also helps in increasing the thoracic cavity and also decreasing the thoracic cavity during inhalation and exhalation. So, the major function of the thorax is breathing. In fact, the ribs also helps in breathing by its movements, small movements, which is discussed afterwards. Other function of the thorax is the protection of the vital organs. It contains many important organs, that is lungs, the heart, the major vessels, which if not present, the life won't be possible. Also, there are many structures which passes through this cavity and enters in other cavities like the abdominal area, like the aorta. Aorta arises from the heart, especially from the left ventricle, and after arising from the left ventricle, it forms the arc of aorta, and after passing it, when it passes from the thorax, it is known as thoracic aorta, and when it passes through the abdominal cavity after passing through the diaphragm, it is known as abdominal aorta. So, it is also, the thoracic cavity is also a way to many different structures. In fact, the phrenic nerves and other different nerves and vessels, the thoracic duct also, the esophagus, especially the esophagus, also pass through this structure, especially passing through the diaphragm. The diaphragm, basically there is a partition between the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity which lies downwards. So there are many functions of this thoracic cavity. You can see in this picture that there is a manubrium anteriorly and sternum, and between the manubrium and the sternum there is an angle which is known as the sternal angle. This sternal angle is of utmost importance because, as you see in the diagram, the first rib articulates superior to this angle, and here only the collarbones come. Because of the collarbone, we can't feel the presence of the first rib. So in the case when we need to find the position of the second rib, we need to find the location of this sternal angle. So there is a plane passing through this sternal angle, which is seen in this dotted line, and passes through the fourth and fifth intervertebral space. Okay, and now we will see that why this plane is important. This plane is important because superior to it lies the superior mediastinum, which is bounded anteriorly by the manubrium and posteriorly with the vertebra. Okay, inferiorly it contains three parts. Inferior mediastinum contains three parts, which is known as anterior mediastinum, okay, middle mediastinum, and the posterior mediastinum. Anterior mediastinum is located between the sternum and the anterior border of the middle mediastinum. Middle mediastinum is located between the anterior and posterior mediastinum, and the posterior mediastinum is located between the middle and the vertebra. A heart is located in the middle mediastinum, and posterior mediastinum contains mainly the aorta, which you can see. We will discuss about something that lines the lungs and protect us from any frictional damage to the lungs. Yes, you are right. We will talk about the pleura. We have two parts of the pleura. One is parietal pleura and other is visceral pleura. The parietal pleura lies outside and it lies between the ribs and the lung and the visceral pleura. Visceral pleura lies between the parietal pleura and the lungs. That is, it lines the lungs. Okay. So, and between the parietal pleura and the visceral pleura, there is a cavity, and which contains a thin layer of serous fluid. It helps in the expansion of the lungs during the inspiration. Now we will talk about the parietal pleura. The parietal pleura contains three parts. In fact, four parts it contains, and the parts names are according to the location. That is, the pleura, which is related to the intercostal space, which is anteriorly, which lines the intercostal spaces, it is known as the costal pleura. The pleura which faces the diaphragm, that is here inferiorly, which is known as diaphragmatic pleura or diaphragmatic part. Pleura that covers the mediastinum, it is known as mediastinal part, and the pleura that arises above the first cartilage, above the first rib, it is known as the cervical pleura or the dome of the pleura. Okay, so we have four parts: the costal pleura, the diaphragmatic pleura, the mediastinal pleura, and the cervical pleura or the dome of the pleura. Okay, here you can see there's a gap, and this gap is where the two pleura meets. The pleural and the parietal and the visceral pleura meet, and it forms the root. Okay, and the importance of this root is, median to this root, as you can see, the thickened part is the hilum, which is median to the root. And importance of this root and this is hilum is that it is a way to the important structures which comes into the lungs and go out of the lungs. That is the major vessels, the bronchi, etc. Talk about the parietal pleura. Same is with the visceral pleura. The location at which the parietal pleura and the visceral pleura meets is known as hilum. Okay, and now in this diagram we can see that there is always a space between the pleura, that is the parietal pleura, and the and the last ribs, that is our 8, 9, 10 ribs anteriorly. So if we draw a line, as you can see in the diagram, we'll draw a line that is known as mid-clavicular line. That is, this is the clavicle, and we are drawing a mid-clavicular line, and here we are drawing the mid-axillary line. So anteriorly we can see this is anteriorly, posteriorly. Okay, anteriorly we can see here, like here, with the location of the 8th vertebra. Okay, this is 7, this is 8, this is 9, and this is 10. Okay, clearly we can see that the pleura extend to the 8th rib. Here you can see this 8, this is 9, and this is 10. So the pleura extend to the 8th rib at the location of the mid clavicular line. Posteriorly, if we see that it is going like backwards, and posteriorly we can see when we draw mid axillary line. Okay, this is the mid axillary line, and we can see that the pleura extend towards the 10th rib. Okay, at the position of the mid axillary line. This is the extent of the pleural cavity, pleura basically. Another diagram we will see. Here it is differentiate between the lungs and the pleura. In this other term comes that is known as recess. Okay, what is a recess? The potentially space is known as recess. What is the potentially space? So the space between the pleura and the lungs. Okay, as we know, as we discussed, the pleura covers the lungs. Okay, but it has a potential space which helps it to expand during the inspiration. So there is a potential space between the lung and the pleura. Okay, pleura is extended till here, ribs are extended till here, and the lungs extend towards the here. So there is a potential space between the lungs and the pleura, and it is known as recess. Talk about a muscular body that lies between the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. Yes, it is diaphragm. Diaphragm consists of many radially moving muscles that converge at a point which is known as the central tendon. Okay, so everything that passes between the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity need to be passed through the diaphragm. The three main structures that pass through the diaphragm are inferior vena cava, esophagus, and the aorta. As we see in the diagram before, the aorta lies posteriorly in the posterior mediastinum. So in the diaphragm also, while passing through the diaphragm, it will move posteriorly. So it lies adjacent to the vertebra 12. Okay, the other two structures, that is inferior vena cava in esophagus, lies anteriorly to the aorta. The inferior vena cava pierces the central tendon of the diaphragm and enter the right side of the mediastinum near the vertebra 8. Between the inferior vena cava and the aorta, there lies the esophagus adjacent to the vertebra 10. So, summary is that the aorta lies posteriorly adjacent to the vertebra 12. Inferior vena cava lies anteriorly adjacent to the esophagus, lies between the inferior vena cava and the aorta adjacent to the vertebra 10. About a typical thoracic vertebra. A typical thoracic vertebra consists of a vertebral body, as you can see in the two pegs in two different views. Posteriorly, there is the presence of a spinous process. Laterally, there is the presence of two transverse processes. Center, there is the presence of a vertebral foramen. Through this vertebral foramen, a spinal cord passes. There are many fasces and articular processes. Okay, you can see the superior articular process here. Superior articular process. There is the presence of inferior articular process. They are demifacet. Demifacet is half facet. Okay, there is the presence of processes on the transverse processes also. Articular facet on the transverse processes also. Superior articular process, here you can see, articulate with the rib adjacent to the vertebra. Like if this vertebra is second vertebra, the superior articular process will articulate with the second rib. Okay, and this inferior articular process articulates with the rib inferior to it. Like if it is second vertebra, it will articulate with the third rib, not the vertebra, third rib. So this will articulate with the adjacent rib, and this will articulate with the rib inferior to the vertebra. That's all for today. Rest all will be discontinued in the next video. I hope it would have helped you understanding some topics. If you like my motive behind it and my video, please like it, subscribe it and press the bell icon. Don't forget to share it. Thank you.